Hi everyone, Wendy Copeland here. I'm a therapist in Austin, and a lot of clients and potential clients ask me, how do I work with clients with trauma? I work from a model called TFCBT. It's Trauma Focused Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. And basically, it's a model that helps clients build coping skills for the here and now and for the symptoms and effects that they're having because of their trauma. And then once that is stabilized and feeling good and safe, as well as just building rapport, then we would go into something called a trauma narrative. And that is where we would kind of go back in time a little bit, write the story of what happened, and through a really methodical and strategic approach that has lots of questions that I will ask, kind of helps you re-expose and desensitize to the trauma that happened to you in order to heal from and not let it have quite so much power and negative influence in your life today. Doesn't mean that we forget that it happened. It just means we want to kind of go back, clean out the wound so that it can heal better and in a way that's more productive and healthy for your life. And then at the end, if you are willing, total autonomy, agency for you in this process, but if you're willing, you get to actually share that trauma narrative that you wrote and that story and the learning lessons and the new truths that you've been able to take on and share that with a supportive person in your life outside of the therapy room. And then the very end of that is ensuring future safety, where we talk through ways to do your absolute best to make yourself feel emotionally and physically safe in this world today. So I use an acronym called PRACTICE. It's PRACTICE, and the P is, these would be the order of steps that we would go in order to approach working with the trauma that you're bringing to the table. So P is psychoeducation. That is where we would talk about common reactions to trauma and what specifically have you experienced due to your trauma. R, A, and C, this is relaxation, affect regulation, and cognitive coping. Relaxation is, can we teach some skills that can help your physical body relax when you're having triggers from your past trauma or in your day-to-day life when you're feeling a negative emotion. A is going to be affect regulation. I like to call this all the feels. So this is all about feelings. It's all about identifying what you're feeling, being able to name it, be able to regulate that affect through using those relaxation strategies or other coping, and deal with the negative emotions as they come up, both due to the past trauma or in your day-to-day life now. The C is cognitive coping. So these are going to be where I teach some cognitive strategies and skills to be able to deal with intrusive thoughts that come up, maybe because of the trauma or just in your day-to-day life. Deal with cognitive distortions you're having about fault, blame, responsibility. Deal with that negative self-tape that's going on. So once psychoeducation, relaxation, affect regulation, and cognitive coping are in place and that feels really stable, that's where we would go into writing that trauma narrative. It is a much slower process than, let's say, EMDR, but a lot of my clients tell me that they find it more palatable. It's something that they can kind of go through sustainably rather than having this flood of emotion. So we'd write the story, we would take turns reading it back and forth. We'd work through that process of desensitization. We'd do something called in vivo exposure. That's the I. So T is trauma narrative, I is in vivo exposure, where we really work at desensitizing you in a safe, slow way. I would be asking questions in this time. There's 7 questions that I ask. What did you think? What did you feel? And the 5 senses. Was there anything you saw, heard, taste, smelled, touched, or felt to the touch that really helps kind of highlight the experience that you had? And then we desensitize, and we desensitize, so it stops having so much negative power. C is community building, so that's where you would share the story with an audience, and E is the exit plan, the ending of that trauma narrative and that time together, maybe even ending therapy if you're feeling really great, and ensuring your future safety. I hope that's a helpful description of trauma-focused therapy. that I would do with you. Thanks.